Ok, cada loco su locura, dale con... What? ¿Qué pasó? Isa, ¿qué pasa? Un segundito, Peña, estamos teniendo problemas técnicos. ¿Alguien puede poner el segundo lugar, por favor? Con la soledad de todo. Oh, shit. Quítamelo, quítamelo. Quítamelo, quítamelo. Quítamelo, quítamelo. Oh my God. Peña, estamos teniendo problemas técnicos. It's okay. ¿Qué pasa, man? Traemos muchos, bro. Vale, Peña, estamos teniendo problemas técnicos. 5 minutos, probamos que todo vaya bien. Me la vuelvo a pegar. Esperadme, la verdad la pena, for real. Es increíble, espero. Yeah. Make some motherfucking noise! Es increíble por haber esperado, por real. Adelante. Oh shit. Vamos a ver si funciona la mano. Como íbamos diciendo, acompañaremos, señor Chen, ok, me llamo señor Chen, me llamo señor Chen. Para mí es un placer estar aquí en los Extreme Barcelona familia. Voy a intentar refrescarlos con mi música, aunque voy a intentar que se vaya este calor insoportable, les dirá muchas cosas, ok, familia. Enjoy the show, banda, let's go! Para con su locura, dame con todo lo que tengas que la traigo bien dura. Quiero todo preciso de un punto de cintura sobre el hombre. Que va a partir de la cintura, paso un pinche que la moda. Que va tu Jordan, que va tu consola. Esto de mi misma, de mi Motorola. Tú con esa cara de bola, a nadie le mola. Estaba con mi clip celebrando, con los vivos directos en el parque. Rodeados todas las reglas, que no quiero escuchar a menos que mi tocar a texturas. Pero vacilarte como un ritmo de oscuras, que esto no se las hará así de apuras. Saco aventuras del parque, no quiero los parques de altura. All day, que figura. ¿Cómo es? Que infinito, quieres que ponerme en alto, si yo ya no siento nada, no. Que infinito, con el sentido de banda. Quieres que ponerme en alto, si yo ya no siento nada, no. Estaba dedicada para todos los freaks ahí escondidos, ¿ok? Esto me acaba de llegar un central y soy quien saldo. ¿Quién te necesita saldo? Cada beatmaker, toco el aparato. La gente que sabe me llama y me pide mis pasos. Ellos no se cansan de buscar instrumentales en lápiz. Yo vivo en el clip que se vean mis matches. ¿Y dónde está el Che? No rapea ya. No puedo enseñar toda la mierda que fabrico rap. Llevo desde los 15 haciendo ritmos. Ya no tengo beats, solo curro por mí mismo. Píllame la ciudad, el mercado en general. Soy un outsider anormal, manjada en medio de pan. No te entiendo, y no me entiendes. Tú vives solo para que llegue el viernes. Y yo me quedo marisco en mi cueva con mis hijos que tienen circuitos fijos. Botones bonitos y los aprieto los motivos. Del mundo me distancio. Soy los que le tocado el Casio. Ese soy yo, esto me define. Te está lleno de toque, te flipe, no te flipe, yeah. Ven solo, pasar al stream, ven solo. Estamos pensando. Ahora estoy lejos, más allá del bien y el mal. Ahora estoy cerca, no, ahora estoy más lejos. Un palacio de cristal, esta es negra, esta es blanca. Eres analógica o digital, ya ni me importa. Voy a tocarte igual, voy a tocarte. Segunda parte, me llega un MS20 y mi cara es la de un enano. Mis teclados son mis hermanos. Unos entran y otros salen, unos entran y otros salen, vamos. Vivo enredado entre cables, 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 cables. Unos entran y otros salen, unos entran y otros salen. ¿Estás entendiendo? Si haces y senza cables, cambio más de la suyo. Si apunto un auto, te contenta, viva, senza todo, viva la web. Viva la web. Si ascolto un po' capato, mira moglie a pasciuccio. Si vola tanti marcato, sembra de su voz sabor di scala. Che dice a te? E se non so tu dove sei con i là. Quindi la mia idea è che sta suonando. Tu ne sei come parla. Serve. Ma se non parli, si hanno tu le bucce. Mira, puxami bem, mira una má, mira un cartel, mira un lado, corre un cartel, buscar un lado, buscar un bem, ya, no, esperando, usted brillando, y todo el mundo buscando, usted particular que nos enseña una pobre sábana, sí, a los hechos, mi gente de Barcelona, preparamos la varita, 3, 2, 3, viva la huele, ¿cómo es? Viva la huele. Si ascolto un po' capato, mira moglie a pasciuccio. Si vola santima, manda 1, 2, 3, viva la web. Che dice? Yo conosco tutto quello che dà la foglia. Ultimamente non mi dica che non sto suonando. Non so come parla. Sempre. Por el tejado, no solo todo lo que brilla, buenas felicidades, las pruebas chisme, los trucos de Finlay, vigila tu cuello si estás limpiando la guillotera, me atraca el mar, carga como la alfa, carga tu velocidad, dice crack, loca, Reilly, póntame en España, siénteme en chakra, llena solo la carga, y en ese carga con mi familia y Romana, esta ciudad está podrida, no representa, no compartiremos todo menos el dinero. La domino giro, no tengo como que no hacemos, no tengo que no hacer el no, disfruta mi Dios. El escenario es para ellas, desde primeras pasadoras, que cada quien lo muera. No sabe cantar, no sabe ser rey, y además ni van a cantar. Paniquere, por Dios, las mujeres se emocionan por Dios. Tengo que correr para que no me toman por Dios. Vacaciones en cristal, y el dormir está el rey. Yo nunca repito mis seis, por Dios. Estrictamente por negocio, quiero a mi hermano. Me dijo que brillara, pero no porque sí, que brillara para enseñarme el jefe para mí, porque está todo oscuro por aquí, desde que me fui, desde el breakdown stage, where my people go, hey, pícalo, Barcelona, ha sido un placer, familia. Y el como no me va a gustar toda la cara que trae, todo preocupado para saber qué va a hacer el otro. Yo buscando tierra para plantarme al lado de un montaña. Nadie me agarra con la y no es fácil tener esta cabeza. Salgo vivo de una fiesta, daré una casa en tu despensa. Te voy a hacer un risotto con trompetas de la vuelta y mayonesa. Si todos quieren opinar y no se me caga. Estoy envidiándote porque papi tú eres más rey. Y yo buscando letras para poner hasta nadie. Tratadas de barbecho y que me quede cansado de la cabeza. Si no salimos de una fiesta, te haré una casa en tu maleta. Y nos iremos a hacer fotos de abuelitos paseando por la sierra. Hasta que me sienta aplauso. Tengo estas ideas en el cloud. Hace días que te pienso. Y los imaginos están enamorados y te tiras un chillido. Se ve tu cuerpo negativo. Se ve tu cuerpo positivo. Te harás conmigo un amigo y yo contento si te pongo. Sí. Lunes, martes, sí. A ver, ¿me puedes subir un poquito el mic? Arriba un poquito ahí, 3, 2. Porque ahora se viene. Esto va a arder, el volumen va a arder. Necesitamos el máster arriba de todo, la potencia arriba de todo. 8 minutes to warm up finish. Lo dicho, probando, 1, 2, sí, 8. Vamos a aprovechar antes en estos últimos minutos, porque luego vamos a empezar, arrancamos la máquina, despega el jet ImaginExtreme BMX aquí en el Extreme Barcelona y no tendremos tiempo para nada, solo para cantar trucos. Aprovechamos para dar las gracias a los sponsors principales institucionales, Arkaitz Armendariz, Generalitat, los patrocinadores Hot Wheels Imagine, colaboradores Skate Pro y Kierna, Media Subor, La Vanguardia y As Acción. Tenemos atletas de todo el orden de la liga, atletas que casi podríamos decir que acaban de aterrizar de los Juegos Olímpicos de Tokio 2020 y algunos de más que se van a ver.
Como l'homme, luxury. I'm a natural up in this. Como l'homme, luxury. When I turn up, you know I'm a natural up in this. I'm on my, when I turn up, you know I'm on my, I am so on my, I'm so on my, on my, yes I am, I'm on my, I'm so on my, I'm so on my, yes I am so, I'm on my, I'm on my, I'm on my, I'm on my, I'm on my.
Según el coeficiente de optimismo de la sociedad actual, la cosa... Ahora mismo no está la cosa para hacer un viaje con tus amigos, ni para cambiar de moto, y mucho menos para hacer una reforma. Ahora mismo ni siquiera está la cosa para comprarte un móvil. En Imagine te ayudamos a mejorar la cosa de una vez por todas. Todas las facilidades del mundo para que te vayas de viaje, para que te compres un móvil y para que hagas lo que tú quieras. Imagine. Es hora de recuperar el optimismo.
Hello and welcome to the 11th edition of Extreme Barcelona, here at the legendary, beautiful Parc de Forum de Barcelona. Be prepared for an epic show today as we will head into BMX and scooter park finals as well as the mega ramp competition. And next up we have BMX park finals with some epic big names competing here today in Barcelona. Talking about epic big names, I'm very happy and honored to introduce Daryl now, who probably doesn't need any introduction in the BMX world. But Daryl is a world-renowned BMX host, a lifetime rider from New York, Brooklyn. And Daryl also hosted the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. Daryl, welcome.
Julie, thank you. It's a big honor to be here, not only with you, but with all the BMX fans around the world. Because as you mentioned, we have our UCI C1 BMX Park men's final coming up. And these are some of the biggest names in BMX ready to put on a show for us.
I mean, I'm very excited for this. And looking at the park, like, what are your initial thoughts? I mean, you've hosted all the major, pretty much, the BMX events in the world. What are your thoughts on this park?
Yeah, this is a great park right here. The fact that this year is our 11th edition, each year we've stepped it up a little bit at Extreme Barcelona. And this course in particular is a little bit more linear. And what I mean by that, the riders are going to be going back and forth on the course as opposed to some that might have some bull corners or different other hips. So it's going to make it interesting where their riding is really going to have to speak loudly over those box jumps featured in the middle. And then we've got the 2 quarter pipes with different features, which I'll talk all about, that are bookend on either side.
Nice. And you know, Extreme Barcelona has managed to bring together the top athletes already since 2008. And look at the crowd going wild for our lineup for BMX today. I mean, I'm very excited for this show. How about you, Daryl?
Yeah, it's so great the fact that Extreme Barcelona once again is bringing the people together. We're having this really great event. And not only has the riding always been top-notch at Extreme Barcelona, but the fan participation. What I mean by that is you're going to hear the interaction, the crowd cheering on the riders, and the more energy that they bring, the more the riders will reciprocate that back. And that's why at a lot of contests, especially here at Extreme Barcelona in our past editions, you've seen the sport get pushed forward. So when you have that great equation, as we see our athletes right there getting ready, and you can already hear the crowd responding as they're just filling into our stands here.
I mean, the emotions here are epic. I'm very, very happy to be sitting here, like literally 2 meters from the crowd. And honestly, I can tell you that the air is full of excitement for these finals. And you know, last edition was unfortunately cancelled due to the health crisis. So this year, the fact that there can actually be spectators, it's going to be a really nice show for everyone who's watching.
It definitely is, and as we see, we're meeting our riders right now. We actually have our second athlete from Hungary. This is Zoltan Juhasz. He's a really talented rider. Prior to that, we actually had Jaime Francisco, who is from Spain. So you can hear as we work through our 12 finalists, the response from the crowd, just excited to be here. We have another rider from Spain. He does it for 360 Bike Shop. This is Arkaitz Armendariz. Very interesting rider. We're going to see what he's able to put down on the course. But then we're going to move things over to the UK, where you can see Ashley Finlay. Really, Ashley is such a great rider. He's been enjoying his time out in Barcelona, riding a little bit of street. Now, our next rider is actually one that I'm excited to see here. He's from Latvia. His name is Ernest Zebolds. He actually is the 2021 national champion in Latvia. I know he's definitely pumped to be here. All riders right now are excited to meet Maligno, a.k.a. Jose Torres Gill. He's got some of the biggest blasting airs, not only on spines, but quarter pipes in BMX. So I know that seeing his touch of the course is going to be really exciting. We then go across the pond to Canada, where we have Jeffrey Reilly out there. He's an interesting rider because he's actually performs in Cirque du Soleil, which is a touring BMX event. Very cool to see the athletes being able to parlay their skills. We have Kieran Reilly from the UK. He's a big rider who's coming off a win from the SourceBMX.com Best Trick Contest at Battle of Hastings. And then we're going to go back to Canada right here, where you can see Maxime Chefleur. He's another rider who considers himself an artist, which he should, because he does ride with Cirque du Soleil as well. We mentioned Tokyo 2020 earlier. Kenneth Tencio from Costa Rica. He was actually a competing athlete, and I should say Olympian, because this is the first time we're ever able to say that after an Olympic Games. This is another USA Olympian, Nick Bruce. He comes from Youngstown, Ohio. He's going to be outperforming, and this is our number one qualifier. So in all other riders, he's finished in first place. This is the silver medalist from Venezuela, Daniel Dhers. So Daniel, you can see actually the Venezuelan flag being held up loud and proud in the stands. And as I said, this is the first time we can actually say Olympians, because Tokyo 2020 was the first time, the inaugural event for BMX and skateboarding, and all of our athletes are excited to come out here and pour it on.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Daryl, for all the insights on the riders. And I mean, hearing the crowd, they went absolutely nuts for Daniel Dhers, so we'll see how the competition flows. I also have like an interesting piece of information about our medals during this competition. So all the medals here at Extreme Barcelona are made of recycled plastics and pandemic masks. So Extreme Barcelona is really making a sustainability move. And also they are recycling all the trash from this event and making these into next year's medals. I mean, how great is that?
Yeah, I love seeing Extreme Barcelona really pushing forward, like you mentioned, not only in sustainability, but also really cool awards for the riders to take home. But also this event, each year it has just grown and stacked as far as our lifestyle that's out here. The last couple of days, we've had so many exciting events from our skateboarding, our scootering, but also just to follow along. You can check us out on our Instagram at Urban World Series, where you can check out breakdancing, graffiti, live shows, all of our village of vendors. And to see that translate just into this environment, our athletes really appreciate that. And you can just see by the smiles on everybody's face, it's such a good vibe out here, really putting the sports, the athletes, and the community first at Extreme Barcelona.
Absolutely right, Daryl. And also let's talk about the competition format quickly. So we're going to have 12 athletes in the park finals. Everyone has 2 60-second runs, and the best run counts.
Yeah, now, Tuli, I want to just highlight that for a moment. The format being best run counts, you're going to hear us talking about that a lot. But essentially, that means that our judges are going to want to see perfection out there. You do have 60 seconds, and to be on top of that podium and get one of those beautiful recycled medals, you're going to have to really utilize the entire clock. You also, on top of that, the judges are going to want to see the way a rider takes a unique approach to this course, the way they're able to put in big tricks, the number of tricks, how smooth their landings are, they can add height, and the difficulty throughout, if they have that confidence and they don't get lost. Well, now you can see we have 60 seconds on the clock. It's going to begin when our first rider, Jaime Francisco, drops in, and it looks like that moment is now. Yo, kicking it off big time over that box jump with multiple tail whips. You can see he kicks it around again for a tail whip and then comes back with a backflip. Right now we have Francisco over the box jump. Whoa, letting things rip. Looked like that was potentially a cannonball with a bar spin. No foot can swinging the legs over that box jump both directions. So 30 seconds, solid start for Francisco. He's going to have to work it out for the final 30 seconds, Tuli.
I mean, Jaime is a bit of a newcomer in this competition, but I mean, he's pretty much competing in front of his home crowd, so I'm pretty sure that the crowd is really rooting for him right now.
Yeah, that support is so important, and you can just see how confident Jaime is on the course, and he's just flowing and floating back and forth. We talked about this being a linear course, and there you have a cliffhanger. That was a huge trick to wind up working down the final thoughts of your run, and has a no-hander at the buzzer. So that was a full pull, entire 60 seconds to get a first run like that out of the way, break through some of those nerves in competition. That really has to feel great for Jaime. So let's take a look right there. You saw him kicking around that double tail whip and then a single on the quarter pipe. And let's look as he fires back with that no foot can in both directions. That is known as a pendulum air. And here you can see setting up on that hip as he fires back into the box jump. And he had that huge cliffhanger at the end of his run, Tuli.
I mean, he was really pulling it till the last second of his run. What a great start to this competition.
Yeah, so it looks like his score is going to be a 70, I believe that's a 73.67. So 73.67 is going to be the bar to beat, where each rider is going to have to wind up stepping things up.
So
All right,
next one
coming out
dropping
for his first run from Hungary. This is Zoltan on course right now. Big double tail whip over the hip, grabbing the pedals, nice and smooth, throwing down a 360 tabletop. That's that thing in BMX known as style, where there's some riders who can take a trick and make it their own. Downside 360 tail whip. Big backflip transfer, able to spot the landing, 30 seconds to go. No-handed 360 over our step-up box jump feature. So as we said again, this is the linear course. You see how it is very focused on the air. So that was a 360 double tail up, slipping a pedal. But if a rider is able to keep their momentum going, they can work out that entire 60 seconds. But it looks like Zoltan is going to wind up catching a breather right there. Hopefully he's okay. Sometimes a rider can land a little bit off, but as we said, it is a best run format that counts. So if a rider has a little difficulty, they'll sometimes wave it off and save it in the tank for their second run.
And Zoltan is also a bit of a newcomer. He's only 21 years old and from Hungary.
Yeah, and he's had a great year so far. He actually got 10th place at the Pannonian Challenge, which took place earlier this year in Croatia. So we're seeing a really great performance out here. And we're going to see when his score winds up coming in. Again, he had to beat a 73.68, not able to do it. So it looks like we're going to move down, Thule, to our third rider.
There you go.
So our third rider on course, starting off with a big backflip variation. This is Arkaitz Armendariz. Whoa, getting wild over that hip right there. Again, we have those bookend quarter pipes. On one end, we have that large sub box with the hip where we saw throwing down the variation. Suicide no-hander over the box jump. Throwing a quick wall ride on that sub with the hip in front. Alley-oop toboggan. That's when a rider lofts backwards where they have to look over their shoulder and spot the quarter pipe. It's those little unique parts in their run that's going to help them stand out. 360 over the box jump. The Spanish rider, big tabletop air, boosting above that sub box. 360 and looking for the final thoughts with the tail whip coming in. And that is time.
You know, Arkaitz is also riding in front of his home crowd. And with one of his interviews, because he had a really good year in 2019, so he had really high hopes for 2020, which obviously the year was pretty much cancelled. Let's see how he does today.
Yeah, that was a great red carpet entrance. The backflip with the bar spin, you saw he was able to use the bars to come around super smooth, just like on that tail whip right there, and spots the pedals coming on in. So again, the score to beat is that 73.68.
Taking the lead for now.
Look at that, jumping in with a 74. Very nicely done to be leading it off as we drop in with Ash Finlay, starting things off with that transfer, landing backwards over the box jump, which is a steeper takeoff, increasing the level of difficulty. Big double tail whip transfer, tuck no-hander. Watch the way that Ash just floats around the course. Massive Superman. He's also been making use of his time here in Barcelona. This is a BMX paradise. For the last 20 years, riders have always gone out of their way to ride and session here. And we're seeing Ash with that flare tail whip, Thule.
Wow.
Yeah, actually trying to work it out. He's got the 15 seconds to go. That flare tail whip was massive and then kicked it around. I believe that was a triple tail whip. 3 times with the back end. So Ashley right now has got the big moves, but can he wrap it up with that big tail whip double time and then a backflip?
I mean, Ash is definitely one of the most promising BMX athletes coming out from UK. Great to see him in this competition, Daryl.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing it for demolition bikes, and he's also doing it, as you mentioned, for all British riders. And take a look. This was that flare tail whip. Comes around and spots the landing perfectly. He got a large reaction, not only from you, Thule, but also from the crowd. And there's a look at that big 360 tail whip transfer, and then a perfect extension on that Superman. Actually, a little shout out to some of our BMX trail riders that are watching. Traditionally, that was a trail trick. But Ash making it look so smooth, and it looks like we have a new leader.
We do. How exciting. I mean, I feel like after every run, the excitement is just going higher and higher in this competition. I mean, I can't wait what the rest of the athletes do, and also everyone in the second run. But now we go to Latvia.
Yeah, Ernest Zebolds dropping in on course. I was extremely excited to see Ernest riding. He actually started to make a huge name for himself prior to the pandemic and had a lot of momentum. But it's because he's got exciting style with that 3-hit combination over the spine transfer. He definitely has the ability to mix some manuals in on his back or front wheel, and I'm interested to see if he brings a little bit of that street flavor out here to the park course.
I mean, Ernst's really famous for his bar spin combo, so let's see what he pulls up.
Yeah, and if you watch each one of these hits, he's actually putting 2 or 3, maybe even 4 combinations in one air. He's got the fast twitch muscle response on lock, and he gets the 180 double bar spin clean, coming in fakey. Tuli, that was huge to do in the middle of your run and just flip your momentum around.
Epic.
Come on, Ernest. Let's see if he
5
can
seconds.
keep it going. Final moments right here. All right, even though he didn't get the big exclamation point at the end of his run, his entire 60 seconds prior to that was peppered with massive combinations, and he was able to blend in, as you said, those bar spins effortlessly, as we see a version of that right there with the 360 bar spin with the turn down, alley-oop double bar spin on the quarter pipe, backflip with that tuck no-hander, spots the landing perfectly, coming right in at the top. And you see that 3-hit combination again with the 360 tuck no-hander and the tabletop for good measure.
I mean, Ernst definitely made every second count in his run.
And look at that, he is rewarded with an 81. So he is going to rocket up to the top of the point score right now. But he knows the pressure is going to be poured on by our next rider, Jose Torres Gill, a.k.a. Maligno.
Maligno also has a very big fan base here in the crowd. Like, he's definitely one of the fan favorites.
Yeah, I mean,
whoa!
Big front flip. That's what we talked about, the height factor. Not only the first rider we saw do the front flip, but also the height is enormous for Maligno.
I mean, Maligno is known for his style in the air, some big 360s and technical parts. I mean, he's such a creative rider, has such long jumps. I mean, what an exciting run.
Yeah, he's really made his presence known in the sport of BMX over the last half a decade, being on the top podium at most events that he's entered, and I know that he wants to keep that momentum rolling. Big wall ride on our subwall, 360 over the extended spine, and a flare at the buzzer right now. Listen to the crowd going wild for Jose Torres Gill.
I mean, the Argentinian looks very happy after his run. I mean, that was definitely a good one. Let's see how he scores. What do you think, Daryl?
Yeah. I mean, this was a big run. We did have the transferred 360 double tail whip. That is into the box jump takeoff backwards. You see that downside double tail whip. And look at right here. This was the showpiece in his run. That was the crowning jewel, that big front flip with the height and then that double rotation 720. I have a feeling that's going to be a big score. We're going to see what the judges wind up thinking about that. Again, you need an 81 or higher to be in that spot, and he does it. An 83.33 going right to the top, sitting in that first spot.
Do you see, Daryl, that every rider that comes, literally raises the bar higher and takes the lead? I mean, I haven't seen this in a competition for a long time.
Yeah, well, we're going to actually see our riders out here because we're going in reverse order from our qualifying.
Yeah.
So it actually looks like right now we're going back to the top. So we're breaking them down into 2 separate heats. This means Jaime is going to be back on the course for his second run, Tuli. So Jaime on course. Again, it is a 2-run format that counts. These are our first 6 riders of 12 right now. Jaime with a smooth 1-foot tabletop. I definitely want to highlight the height on that as he fires back with the Superman over the box. Sets up on the roll-in, dropping in with another big Superman. Perfect extension with the legs going back. Big cannonball right there, full extension. That's when a rider does a nothing, takes everything off the bike, grabs the seat, pushes the bar forward, and there's that cliffhanger again. So that is time right there for Jaime Francisco. Great run, pushing things forward. You hear the hometown Spanish crowd going absolutely nuts for Jaime. As you can see, everybody just piling in, getting excited to cheer on our riders here at our UCI C1 BMX Park men's final event. So many highlights, especially this downside 360 tail whip, spotting the pedals perfectly. And take a look here at the cliffhanger. All limbs off the bike. The handlebars are actually rested with his feet to keep it upright and getting a nice extension on his arms coming out. So, Tuli, it looks like we're going to keep things rolling with Zoltan's second run out on course. Again, the hungry rider is looking to step things up with a double tail whip. Now, as we mentioned, this is a best run counts format, so the riders might try to do a similar run in their second as they did in their first, but just try to get it a little bit more smooth or throw in a couple extra variations to try to up the ante. Right there, we see Zoltan with the backflip transfer. Nice setup for that bar spin, and you can see the way that he was able to just weave his way across the park completely from left to right as he wound up working across.
I mean, Zoltan is definitely a surprise for me.
Yeah, this is the exciting thing, especially the fact that we had a pretty big break in global competition for about a year and a half. We're seeing some riders who put a lot of work in during that time, and Zoltan has stepped up his game out here, and it's so awesome to not only see him in the finals, but pushing himself forward.
And I mean, I've been also talking to most of the riders here, and everyone is just so stoked to have competitions back. But then again, I mean, I think everyone's had a year or a bit more to pretty much practice on their own so they can just come and surprise people again during these competitions.
Yeah, Zoltan with a big run right there. You're seeing three different variations of the backflip. You had the traditional one, you had the no-handed version, and the flare, which was the 180 with the backflip. So it looks like he's going to move up into a potential third-place podium spot. But again, this could be anyone's game because we do have best run format that counts, and we have not had our top 6 qualifiers from yesterday to take the course yet.
Absolutely. So talking about the park in general, this is actually a brand new park, and it's owned by Extreme Barcelona, and it will also move to Madrid in 2 weeks.
Oh, Arkaitz having a little bit of difficulty. He fell right there. So again, if a rider does fall on course, they can get back up and work that 60 seconds. They're going to be penalized, but the quicker a rider's able to recover, like we're seeing right here, that is definitely going to wind up working in his favor. Bar spin to tuck, no-hander, tail whip, catching it in time for that tabletop. Transfer back, looking for a trick. Sometimes you get a little bit rattled when you're out there as well. You got a game plan, and you wind up saying, hey, I'm going to hit each one of these tricks and combinations, and when you wind up having a crash like that, it could definitely throw off your mojo on the course. But let's see if he's able to throw a few more toppers in as time ticks down. It looks like he was going for a very difficult lip trick right there, a tail whip potential foot jam. And Tuli, Arkaitz is going to wind up waving off his last 5 seconds, but again, that crowd is roaring for appreciation.
I mean, it is the home crowd because the 23-year-old is from Pamplona. And he started riding in 2012 after seeing some kids riding some bikes in Pamplona. So he has a pretty good start to his career.
Yeah, to let riders know all around the world, Pamplona is one of the biggest bike parks in Spain and also globally. They've got so many fun things to ride from dirt, concrete, and park. And we're actually seeing that he was out there to utilize his skill, putting in a solid run. But here we go, second run right now for Ashley Finlay. Let's see what he's got, 60 seconds. Big no-hander transfer to start things off. And look at the speed as he goes for a foot jam to can-can on top of that massive wall, right into a Superman Tuli.
Wow. I mean, he's a strong rider. See, there you go. Oh my God. Wow,
big
was that?
Double backflip. Such commitment. Yeah, if a rider's going to throw a double flip in the middle of their run like that, you know they got the confidence to back it up. And Ash is out there getting it done with a flare tail whip as well. These 20 seconds are going to be crucial as he transfers from the spine to that extended spine. Let's see if he can put some big hits as he rotates that 360. I believe that was in his opposite direction. Now, in this day and age, riders are so dialed, it's almost impossible to call regular or opposite because a lot of guys are so consistent in both ways. And there we see that rotation in the other way over the spine, throwing up the hand. The crowd is going nuts here. Look how excited Ash is. Big double flip in his run. I have a feeling, Julie, we're going to see a big score.
I mean, I'm really full on the same page with you on this one. That was an epic run. It was so much fun to watch. Let's see how the judges score him.
The crowd is so excited, not only to see a double backflip, but just to be here at Extreme Barcelona, getting back together, celebrating action sports at our festival as we see another look at that double backflip completely clearing the box jump. And you see that orange line basically signifying the top of the landing, that sweet money spot. And Ash is able to get that double flip spot, the landing, and just slide right in.
And next we go to Ernst from Ventspils, Latvia. The 22-year-old is definitely one of the leading BMX riders in Europe.
Yes, those are those bar spin combinations in the 360 that you were talking about. Big extension on that no-handed backflip. You saw the way he was able to completely stand up, upside down. That is what the judges want to see because it shows the confidence on the course. And Zebolds right now is looking so confident as he hits that 4-hit combo, 360 double bar spin to tuck no-hander. Such height over that spine, getting the bars fully tucked in with that 3 variation. Look at the 180 double bar spin, and he sticks it 2 for 2, Julie. That is such a difficult trick to do. Your momentum completely turns around. Let's see what he's got for the final thoughts right here. He had a solid first run, but this is where he could potentially really up the ante. And that is a buzzer, so looks like a similar run in his second one, but he did have those tweaked out extensions a little bit further. And I have to tell you, I'm so impressed with that 180 double bar spin. That is a really tall landing and extremely steep to be going backwards down. And you can see how he catches the bars perfectly, including that transition. He does not have a free coaster on his bike, so you see the way he has to pedal his cranks backwards. They don't engage, and he perfectly hopped out. There was that backflip with the no-hander and the extension as well. I really think that is a perfect trick in his run to show you how confident he was to get that extension.
Absolutely. And I had a chat to him before the competition, and he was in really high spirits, said he absolutely loved the course, and I feel like it really reflected in his run as well.
Well, right now we have our current leader, Jose Torres Gill from Argentina. Let's see what he's got. 360 tail whip, kicking it back the other way to a downside tail whip. So he is our current leader, but he's going to want to up his score to give himself some breathing room for our other 6 riders who have yet to take the course. 360 tail whip, big transfer, big air on that tuck no-hander. Maligno firing back with the 720 tail whip, Julie.
Oh my God, I mean, he's known for his amplitude on the parkours, and it really shows.
Wow, this is a great start. Let's see if he can keep it going for the second chapter in his run. 23 seconds to go, coming back at us. Big 720 corked out with the transfer as well. Difficult to do because you can get lost as you're going from ramp to ramp. But Maligno looks confident as he does an inverted foot plant on our subwall. 5 seconds for Maligno. What is it going to be? A final thought? Flare right there as the buzzer comes in. Rewarded with the crowd cheering him on.
That was really, really, really nice to watch. But we're going to go for a few second commercial break, and we'll be right back with you in a short while.
el coeficiente de optimismo de la sociedad actual, la cosa. Ahora mismo no está la cosa para hacer un viaje con tus amigos, ni para cambiar de moto, y mucho menos para hacer una reforma. Ahora mismo ni siquiera está la cosa para comprarte un móvil. En Imagine te ayudamos a mejorar la cosa de una vez por todas. Todas las facilidades del mundo para que te vayas de viaje, para que te compres un móvil y para que hagas lo que tú quieras. Imagine. Es hora de recuperar el optimismo.
And we are back. We're gonna go for the second heat of the park finals here in Extreme Barcelona.
Yeah, Julie, we have the first 6 riders to take the course here. That means our second 6 for our finals have yet to ride. These are our top qualifiers from our semifinal. So most likely we're going to see higher scores out on the course. But right now we're taking a bird's eye view of our beautiful course. But I do want to paint the picture for all of our riders around the world. This park is actually nestled at the iconic seawalls. So riders always make Barcelona a destination, but you can see those transitions. And yes, those are the same transitions that you saw Kierna Reilly flare the other day on his Instagram, or that you've seen countless other riders do massive wall rides over the doors, or even air at them. So it's so cool that we're just at an iconic BMX skateboard spot, but our fans can be down here and feel the energy.
Absolutely, Darrell. And you know, Extreme Barcelona is an epic competition in general. There's over 350 athletes from BMX, skateboarding, and scooter here, and over 30 countries.
Yeah, to have this diversified BMX riders, but also these other sports, it's like a melting pot of all of our competitions and lifestyle. I was so excited to see our breakdancers out there. Shout out to B-Girl taking the win. Girl Sweet Spicy, and also our men's B-boy, Little Danny, who is out there just crushing it. It's so cool. If you haven't had a chance to follow us on Instagram, you can at Urban World Series, where we have all of our action going down, or on our YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Urban World Series.
Looks like we're ready for the second heat, charging with Jeffrey Reilly, who is 24 years old from Quebec, Canada. Did you know that Jeffrey is also part of the Cirque du Soleil group? He's traveling the world with a show.
Yeah, that's exciting. So Cirque du Soleil is one of the premier circuses, and to call them circus performers is almost an understatement, because they take the top in every respective field, and they are artists, whether it's in gymnastics or balancing or rings, but in this case, BMX. And there's a really great show that's been going around with a lot of riders on really uniquely designed ramps. Some are transparent, some move, they've got lights, and it's really cool when you do have a rider who competes in a contest but does do a lot of shows or performances in their off time. That means that they're usually cool and collected when the pressure is on. They spend a lot of time getting their tricks dialed in, and Tuli, it's going to be interesting to see if that translates for Jeffrey out here today.
Absolutely, and you know, Jeffrey rides without pegs, and he's renowned for his really good Superman truck style.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? So for any new riders out there or fans watching this, it's called freestyle because you can basically do what you want on the course, and that also goes with your bike setup. So if a rider does want to put pegs on their bikes, they can do the tricks, or in Jeffrey's case, he can focus more on aerial tricks like that backflip. I believe that was a double tail whip known as the helicopter. Wow, another big haymaker going for that variation of the 720 out there. 360 double bar spin. The brakeless ripper with the double tail whip. Big hits for Jeffrey on every single obstacle so far in the first 35 seconds. Jeffrey trying to work the magic as he comes back to the box jump, kicking the bike around. I believe that might have been a triple tail whip right there. 3 times around. The more you put each combination in the air, the more difficult you're playing with that risk versus reward factor. You wind up saying, hey, do I want to go for it? I'd love to get a gold, but there does come consequences if you can't get it done before you land.
Oh!
Wow, going for that front flip over the box jump, getting a little bit sideways, but keeping it rubber side down. And Jeffrey Reilly, big 60 seconds, and that is how you put the exclamation point on, Julie.
I mean, that was very impressive. I mean, Daryl, I mean, what we were just witnessing.
Yeah, so look at this. Big bookends on his run. That was the backflip double tail whip, as we said. Kicking the double tail whip right there on the quarter pipe, showing you how controlled and confident he is. And there is that front flip. You saw that he actually did a little bit of a shifty off axis, which was cool. And we're going to see if he's going to be able to get into a spot on the podium. 86.34 is going to be the score that is needed for Jeffrey.
Let's see where he lands. Still waiting for the score. Meanwhile, Kieran Reilly is getting ready to drop in.
Yeah, Kieran is a very exciting rider out of the UK. He's definitely one of those guys that's been in BMX since he was young, and you always said, what is that ripper going to be like when he's grown up? And you got Kieran Reilly, who's an absolute beast when it comes to BMX. Let's see Kieran dropping in, tall order BMX sponsored rider. Big combination over the box jump. I believe that was a 360 double tail whip to bar spin, Thule.
Whoa. I mean, Kieran definitely is a sort of a BMX protege from UK Newcastle. The 20-year-old rider has been ripping the park since he was 11 years old.
Yeah, and it's great to see him just mature into such a powerful rider on the course. He's really known to throw down his combinations and hold on to the absolute last second, sometimes squeaking in an extra bar spin or a no-hander. So unfortunately, we're seeing Kieran right now wave off his run. It doesn't look like he was hurt or had any bike maintenance problems. But as we mentioned, the judges want to see this best run format counts. They want perfection. And if you throw it off, sometimes you say, hey, that's not my ideal run. I'm going to wind up saving it for my second run. But that does add a level of pressure as the second time he takes the course. So take a look right there. That was that 360 triple tail whip. You saw that he landed with his crank arms, his feet, instead of on the pedals, went a little bit off to the course, but was able to recover and still keep on cruising. So taking a look at our leaderboard, Jose Torres Gill is in that top spot still with the 86.34, and that is the benchmark to beat.
And next one dropping in from Canada is Maxime Jalifour. He's a very good combination rider, and he rides park and dirt. And also he rides without pegs as well.
Yeah, it's great to see so many well-rounded riders out here. Quick tail tap, check it in on top of the roll, and in a big front flip for Maxime. Maxime looking to fire back. Backflip, bar spin, tuck no-hander. Again, great extension there. Manual on top of the subwall with a bar spin. Great combination because that's the only rider we've seen yet to balance with the manual and throw a little bit more of a street move in on the park course. Maxime going down right there, but spirits are definitely lifted by our crowd here in Barcelona cheering on Maxime. Always difficult when a rider crashes in his run because, again, that's going to stack the pressure for his second opportunity that he's yet to take on course. But there was a look at that front flip, throwing his momentum over the handlebars. And this is a look in the opposite direction, the back flip, bar spin, tucking the handlebars into his lap, taking the arms off. That way he's able to wind up having the balance point on his bike.
Let's see. What do you think how he scores? Well, he still has a second run, so let's see how that goes. But next one dropping in is Kenneth Tencio, definitely also a crowd favorite. He is another Olympian and also is from Costa Rica, where he also has his own training ground called Tencio Park. So he's been doing a lot of practicing during the off-season or the COVID season, let's say.
Yeah, Tencio is such a talented rider. He actually, as we were saying, he was in the Tokyo 2020 games. He didn't medal and get on the podium, but he's so fired up, and he's just been sharpening his blade, ready to go into competition here and just make precision points on the course. So Tencio, first 30 seconds down, big flare right there. You see him keep looking down at his bike. I wonder if maybe he has something going on. Working it with the flare right here. And I believe, unfortunately, it looks like he has a flat tire or potentially his wheel might have shifted. That can happen when you're Yeah, when you're Axel, there's so much pressure coming in on tricks like that backflip double tail whip, or even his flares on the quarter pipe. You have a 540 flare like that, and you land even a little bit off. That continued pressure can wind up shifting the back wheel a little bit, and you're not able to keep your speed and momentum going. So unfortunately for Kenneth Tencio, that's not going to allow him to get the full pull in his run. He's still going to get a score right there, putting him in the 9th spot, but he's going to have a lot of catch-up to do in his second run.
So next one dropping in is Nick Bruce, 29-year-old from US, Ohio, who's also an Olympic athlete. And Nick is known for pulling some pretty epic world's firsts, right?
Yeah, Nick Bruce is such a big rider. He unfortunately was injured at the Tokyo 2020 Games. So he's going to be out here showing you, hey, I'm healthy, I want to cruise, and I want to let the world know what I've been doing in the last year and a half at my own private training facility. And he's out here letting things rip with that downside double 360 tail whip, firing back over the hip with the whip. No-handed 360. Bruce looking confident in control. 30 seconds to go. Let's see if Bruce can really step things up with his cardio out here and keep that conditioning going. Yeah, smooth no-handed 360. Double tail whip downside in his opposite direction right there. You can see Bruce does have 2 pegs on his bike controlled and a good setup on that flare. That's the... Oh! So Nick Bruce unfortunately going down. You see him getting checked out by some of our medical staff. We do have some of the best medical staff out here. Want to make sure that our riders are okay. Taking a look right there, I believe that was a backflip triple tail whip. That was an unbelievable trick right there. Way to start things out. Little difficult to see from the perspective here, but I believe that was 3 times around. Unbelievable trick. Even if it was a double, not many riders can wind up pulling that off, and our judges will definitely have a clear vantage point and be able to award the necessary points for that as far as our riders go in the competition. But Nick Bruce, unfortunately, having that crash, and Thule, hopefully he'll be able to come back out on the course for his second run.
Let's hope so. I mean, I feel like the second round is going to be a pretty epic competition anyways. There's a lot of riders who's going to be relying on their second runs. But Nick Bruce is on the 8th slot right now with 64.67 points. And next up, dropping in Daniel Dhers, an absolute superstar BMX rider, 36-year-old rider from Venezuela, Olympic silver from Tokyo, and currently living in the US. And Dhers is definitely one of the most decorated BMX riders of all time.
Yes, Thule, that is right. Daniel is on top of almost every podium of every competition he enters, and because he is such a strategic rider when it comes to competition, where he really focuses on utilizing the entire course. And let's watch that as he is throwing down big combos back and forth. You see that he's just working it, checking the boxes as he corks out an off-axis 720. He was one of the first riders to bring that style to competition over a decade ago, and since then, he has just wound up adding variations to that, and it's kind of been the standard where most riders do that off-axis 7. So Daniel right now, first 30 seconds down, downside 360 tail whip over the box, opposite air over that hip, 360 tail whip on the extended spine, bar spin, and it's going to be interesting to see if Daniel just winds up holding on off-axis, no-handed 720. As I mentioned, he's extremely strategic, and I have a feeling that Daniel's going to want to get a full score in right here, and then he'll be sitting at that vantage point. Big front flip over the spine right there. So as I mentioned, Daniel put in a huge run. He got the full 60 seconds, but he's extremely strategic, and I mean that in a complimentary way. Since the Venezuelan BMX rider was our first place qualifier, he has the advantage of going last in competition. So in his second run, he can see how much he wants to pour it on. That was a cash roll over the box jump. That was the 720 tweak out with the transition coming in. There is a front flip over the spine. He's also getting that little shifty off to the side. And we're seeing some signature Daniel Dhers. He was one of the first riders to do the front flip over the spine over 10 years ago, and again, he's just made those staples in the sport where a lot of riders wind up following. So Dhers' score hasn't come in yet, and 86.34 is going to be what he's going to need to potentially go in that top spot.
Do you think he's going to take the lead?
Very difficult thing to say. Again, he did it that full run with the beginning and the end. Big tricks, showing the judges that he's in control. He's confident. He didn't get lost on the course. And look at that!
87.33 points for Daniel Dhers taking the lead here. The Extreme Barcelona BMX Park Finals.
Wow.
There's the second run still to go.
Yeah, our silver medalist Daniel Dhers from Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games now looking to try to get a gold medal, sitting in that top spot. But as we mentioned, it's a best run format, so any rider can shake this up until the end. And Jeffrey Reilly coming out with the big backflip double tail whip known as the helicopter. And we can see Reilly is fired up for his second run, looking to bring the heat, and he is, with big combinations on every single one of the hits, including that double tail whip. Reilly getting a nice tuck on that 360 spot in the landing. I love the way he was able to pull that back end up. 360 downside tail whip, floating it. So Thule, he's looking very comfortable out here.
Looks like it. I mean, he is a showman, so he's definitely putting on a show, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. And being able to throw your tricks consistently, that's what it takes to ride in Cirque du Soleil, or any BMX shows for that matter. And that means when the pressure's on, they can deliver.
Whoa!
What? Oh, man. Jeffrey Reilly going for it right there. I believe that was a fast plant into a front flip. So it looked like he was trying to take his foot off, push over the box, and then do that front flip. Let's take a look as we see the breakdown. Backflip, double tail whip, spots the landing, gets both feet on, throws a pedal, not able to throw a trick in that quarter pipe, but was able to get that 720 with the bar spin. You saw he put his handlebars in his lap to speed up the rotation, and then he went at the end of his run for that fast plant into a front flip, I believe. That is a little bit of the strategy we're seeing in the second run here, where riders want to step things up to get the score and to get the points to try to beat our current leader, Daniel Dhers.
And Reilly is now on the 6th spot. But next up is Kieran Reilly. A fun fact about Kieran, I had a chat to him before. He says he's only been eating bread while he's been in Barcelona. He literally goes from one bakery to another. So let's see if this helps him ride or not.
Yeah, well, Kieran getting the full experience out here, and definitely trying to get the full experience on this park, as he's just throwing big combinations. As we mentioned, he is known to throw extra bar spins or tuck no-handers in when you do not think it is possible. He's put sometimes 4 hits together, like we saw right there with the 360 tail whip, bar spin, and also table variation. Here in the tall order rider, coming off a big win at the Battle of Hastings, where he won the SourceBMX.com best trick. Let's see if he brings some of those best tricks here for the final 20 seconds. 360 bar spin over the box. Let's see if he's wind up setting up. I have a feeling we might see something here, Thule. Front flip.
Whoa!
Yes.
There you go.
Alley-oop double tail whip. At the buzzer. All
Go
right, it
Kieran.
looks like he didn't get that final trick in, but that was still a huge run for Kieran Thule.
I know, I mean, what a joy to watch. Representing UK.
Unreal to see him throwing that 360 double tail whip and then a bar spin. Taking a look right here. That's that 4-hit combination we talked about, the 360, tail whip, bar spin, and tabletop together. It's a tongue twister. Imagine trying to pull it off and do it. Kieran Reilly does, though.
Let's see how he scores. Well, Kieran currently sits on the 12th spot with 56.67 points.
Judges have a very difficult job trying to put a number to the madness we're seeing on the course. Not only do they have to score our riders out there, but they have to see how that run fits in with the other 11 riders. So 12 riders, 2 runs, 24 scores, and they have to somehow try to figure out where they fit.
And there you go. Kieran Reilly sits now on the 5th spot with 77 points. Next up, we have Maxime Chalifort, 21-year-old Canadian, known for being a really good combination rider.
Yeah, as we mentioned, this is another rider who does shows at Cirque du Soleil, so we do know he's dialed when it comes to throwing front flips on command right there. Maxime back over the box jump. Looks like a similar format to his first run, but wants to up the ante. Can he be 2 for 2? Mr. Consistency on that manual to bar spin. Maxime with the tuck no-hander, looking so confident in our UCI C1 BMX Park men's final. Can stepping over the top tube. 360 tail whip. Let's see if he winds up throwing some big hammers in here before the time goes, and he's got one right there. Into the flare. That was after the 360 double bar spin with the transfer. Again, we mentioned this being a linear course, so the riders really have to be consistent on their tricks, and to put down a big backflip tail whip into a wall ride at the end of your run is more difficult than at the beginning. And you're seeing Maxime right there, really excited about his second run, and with good reason.
I mean, Maxime is really celebrating there, together with the crowds.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many nerves when you come into a contest. You have an idea of what you want to do, but to be able to put it together for the full 60 seconds and to ride away is a huge accomplishment within its own, let alone throwing in a backflip bar spin to no-hander or that 360 double tail whip variation. And then here's a look at the backflip tail whip, and just noting how smooth that was coming down. Even though he put 1 foot on the crank arm, he was still just consistent, able to move it back to his pedal. Really great run for Maxime.
Absolutely, and he currently sits on the 11th spot. Let's see how he scores in his second run. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a judge right now, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many big action hits going down, and again, it's that 60 seconds that really makes a difference. And one rider who we usually don't see in last place in the finals and also hasn't had an opportunity to utilize his entire 60 seconds is our next rider from Costa Rica, Kenneth Tencio. As we mentioned,
Maxime now landed on the 6th spot with 76.33 points.
So Maxime right there, 6th spot, definitely not too shabby at all. But as we said, Kenneth Tencio dropping in for his second run. If there's anyone who can shake up that podium, it's definitely Tencio.
Absolutely.
Look at that 540 flare. That was the full extension, the backflip with the full 540 spin, getting his bike and body perfectly upside down and extended.
Oh. Kenneth has been practicing at his own sports complex for freestyle, so he's definitely had a good ground to practice on.
Yeah, another great ambassador for BMX. Let's see what he's got. What?
Oh!
A
Daryl!
huge backflip. Oh man,
wow.
Too hot to handle out there. Tencio unfortunately going down, but he did have that big backflip drop in off of that quarter pipe into the wedge. So he came off the deck. That was a huge trick. Let's look at the madness from Tencio as he does a backflip double tail whip. That's that 540 flare. I talked about the extension on his body. It was so cool to see the way he stood upright. Tencio was just on fire out here. He was melting the course as he did that backflip drop in. Shout out to the late great Dave Mira, first rider to ever do that. But Tencio just got too hot to handle, and he wound up going down in flames over that spine ramp. So unfortunately for Tencio, we didn't get a chance to see him have a full pull on both runs out there, of course. But it does look like he was rewarded with the 66, so he's going to move up to that 11th spot, and Bruce is going to move back.
But I mean, go big or go home, right? So A for effort.
Yeah, definitely A for effort. It looks like actually Nick Bruce might not be taking the course right now. Hopefully he's not too injured. We did see him go down on his first run, so we're sending our well wishes to Nick Bruce. He also might just say, hey, I want to wind up taking a breather, so we're never sure to speculate on where our rider's at.
I mean, he's standing up with his bike next to the screen, so I see him. He looks fine. Maybe he's just not ready to ride yet.
Yeah, that's a good thing that Nick's all right. As we mentioned, he was injured earlier in the year. He wound up hurting his shoulder, so he couldn't compete at the Tokyo 2020 Games. He did ride and roll into the course competition, but I really know that he wanted to come out here and just really show off and showcase some of the tricks that he's been working at his own private facility back in Ohio, the Brew House. So Nick is just such a talented rider. What a great guy. Unfortunate that he did have that crash in his run. But we are seeing his name up on the screen, so who knows? Maybe he'll wind up rolling in. Maybe he won't. Either or, we're getting some extra shine time from Daniel Dhers, who has yet to take his second run on the course.
So, what are your predictions, Daryl? Do you think he will improve his score?
Well, we're going to see. Oh, look at this.
Oh, nice.
This might be the Cinderella sweetheart story. Nick Bruce, he's rocking a brand new chin strap up there. It looks like he might have a bandage on his chin. But thankfully, Nick Bruce is going to wind up taking his second run, Thule.
I mean, what a trooper. This is a real sports spirit, right?
Yeah, come on, Nick. We're all cheering you on. Yes. Oh!
Well, I'm clapping here as well. I mean, he came back and he tried, and, you know, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that is so disappointing, but you can see the appreciation from all of our Barcelona fans out here cheering Nick on. Nick, we really just give you so much credit for having so much heart out here and going for it. Big attempt out of the gate, especially out of a crash. You knew that you wanted to try to beat Daniel Dhers, who was sitting in that top spot. Nick Bruce went down. Hopefully he'll be okay. He's going to wind up getting checked out.
But, I mean, he was walking away with a big smile, and he's definitely having a great time here at Extreme Barcelona, nevertheless. But last one dropping in is the BMX protege, Daniel Dhers.
Well, that means one thing, Thule. It looks like this is a potential victory lap for Daniel Dhers, because after his first run, he was sitting in first place. So Daniel right now, the silver medalist, is out on the course looking to up things with a gold medal here at Extreme Barcelona. But Daniel Dhers right now showing you how it's done with a big no-handed backflip transfer. And this is a top rider in his field with the 360 no-handed tire grab. Cool combination we don't see from Daniel very often.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're seeing Daniel right now. No pressure at all on the course. He's just having a great time. And we're all watching a legend of BMX right now just take a victory lap, cruising with some controlled style and making it look so good.
There you go. No pressure whatsoever.
Listen to the reception. The crowd loves Daniel Dhers. The fact that he not only brought home a silver medal from Tokyo 2020, but right now he is bringing home a gold medal from Extreme Barcelona. Let's look at that cash troll over the box jump. He was actually one of the first riders to work on inventing that trick where you wind up traveling backwards with the flip and then travel back around the regular way to spot the landing. Let's take a look here as Dhers throws that flare on the far end of the course.
There you go. I see we have our winner. And Daryl, I'm going to leave you now to chat about the competition a little bit, and I'm going to run down to the course and do a flash interview with the winner, Daniel Dhers. I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
All right, well, Thule's going to get down in the course, in the action, to wind up helping out with our awards ceremony and giving up to all of our riders. What an amazing moment as we see Daniel Dhers from Venezuela holding up the flag, taking some selfies out there. As we mentioned, the Olympian coming in off that silver medal at the Tokyo 2020 Games, and then to be in top form. So good to see him rolling away with our first place gold medal. You can see all the riders and fans wanting to get a photo with Daniel. He's always been a superstar of BMX, but his star just keeps rising. I do want to give a shout out to all of our competitors today out on the course, because even being back here after our crazy year and a half globally is such a good feeling and such a good vibe. And you can see all of our fans on our seawall, worked into our bleachers, just really enjoying everything that Extreme Barcelona has to offer. As we get ready to give our awards out to our riders, we're just going to take a look at our top three right there. Daniel Dhers with an 87.33. Jose Torres Gill getting that silver medal with an 86.33. Ernest Zebolds with an 81. So he is going to wind up getting that bronze medal. And then just outside of podium, Ashley Finlay, Kieran Reilly, Maxime Chafleur, Zoltan Juhasz, Jeffrey Reilly, and so on. But take a look right here, Extreme Barcelona getting that beautiful shot of our fans, of our crowd. And if you haven't made it out to an Extreme Barcelona event, you want to make sure you follow us on Instagram at Urban World Series, where you can stay up to date on all upcoming events, including our Madrid Urban Sports event that's going to be taking place October 8th through 10th.
Daniel Dhers, an absolute protege, superstar of a BMX rider, taking the win here at Extreme Barcelona Park Finals. What are some of the emotions that are going through you right now about the win and this competition in general?
I'm so happy. You know, we just came from a very long Olympic Games. I haven't had a rest. I came here because I know it's always a good time. I wasn't sure about my riding, but I'm stoked I was able to put runs together. Psyched to see a lot of my friends I haven't been able to see. The Venezuelan crowd here is just absolutely insane. So I'm very happy to see everyone and, you know, have a good ride.
You want to say something to the crowd as a thank you for they were cheering for you like crazy out there.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, everyone that came, everyone that's watching. Seriously, amazing. Thank you for the support, not only for me, but all the riders. That's why we do it. We just want to give you guys a good show.
Great, thank you so much, and congratulations once again.
Wow, Daniel Dhers, what a champion right there. I want to highlight what he said. Big props coming to our event here at Extreme Barcelona after that year and a half off, not only from competition, but then jumping into the Olympic Games. He could have just taken a rest, but as he said, Extreme Barcelona is always such a great event, a lot of fun to be at. And as we mentioned, if you haven't had a chance to come to Extreme Barcelona, give us a follow at Urban World Series on our Instagram, where you could stay up to date on all upcoming events, including the Madrid Urban Sports October 8th through 10th. So cool to have our global community here together in Barcelona. Big props, though. Daniel Dhers getting the gold. Silver medal goes out to Jose Torres Gill. And then our bronze to Ernest Zebolds. 1, 2, and 3. So cool to take a look at our podium right there. I do want to give a big shout out to Maligno, Jose Torres Gill, blasting the park with some of the highest airs we saw, not only over the box jump, but also on the quarter pipes. And then Ernest Zebolds really bringing it in for Latvia with those big combinations. Had so many bar spins in the air, also those tuck no-handers, and you can't forget about that backflip full extension tuck no-hander.
I'm back. I mean, I took a bit of a sprint up the stairs right now. That also felt like a bit of an action sport.
Well, Julie, we might have a medal for you as well for that sprint, but we are looking at our podium right there. 1, 2, and 3. As we said, Daniel Dhers getting the gold, silver going to Jose Torres Gill, and then the bronze to Ernest Zebolds.
This was an absolutely epic competition, Daryl. I mean, how do you judge the level we were seeing here today?
Well, it's amazing, right? This was the first time that we've ever had BMX and skateboarding in the Olympics, Tokyo 2020 Games, and we have Olympians here. It shows you the level of riding, right? We had 3 Olympians on course, but we also had such a global representation out here. And then to have an Olympic medalist come out and get a gold medal, Daniel Dhers, what a special moment for BMX and also for Extreme Barcelona.
Absolutely, Daryl. And you know, Extreme Barcelona is just an epic weekend full of action sports all around. And anyone watching, just stay tuned because we're going to have some more exciting competitions for you. We're going to have the Mega Ramp competitions and also the Scooter Park Finals coming up.
Yeah, it's always such a great thing with Extreme Barcelona. It's not just one sport. You might have been brought here because you love BMX, but we have skateboard, scootering, as we said, breakdancing, tons of events. Follow us online at Urban World Series. It's so easy to do. Stay up to date and make sure you follow along because this is one heck of a party, Thule.
Absolutely. And Daryl, thank you so much for joining us here. You are definitely one of the best MCs for BMX in the world. It was such a pleasure to have you here, giving us all the scoop and the insights on the riders, the competition, and the tricks. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
The honor is all mine. Big shout out to all of our riders who competed today, but also our global BMX family. Big ups to you. I hope that you were inspired to go out and ride today and get a session in of your own.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we're going to be catching up with you soon in the Mega Ram competition, Daryl. See you in a bit.
Luxury, I'm a Niger up in this. When I turn up, you know I'm on my. Yes, I'm on my. Yes, I'm on my. I'm so. Yes, I am so. I'm on my.
Según el coeficiente de optimismo de la sociedad actual, la cosa... Ahora mismo no está la cosa para hacer un viaje con tus amigos, ni para cambiar de moto, y mucho menos para hacer una reforma. Ahora mismo ni siquiera está la cosa para comprarte un móvil. En Imagine te ayudamos a mejorar la cosa de una vez por todas. Todas las facilidades del mundo para que te vayas de viaje, para que te compres un móvil y para que hagas lo que tú quieras. Imagine. Es hora de recuperar el optimismo.